Have you ever stopped to think about how we actually send private messages or, say, complete secure transactions online? The internet itself is so open, right? It kind of feels like shouting secrets across a really crowded room, but somehow they stay secret. How on earth does that work?
It's a great question. And honestly, for most people, it's completely invisible. It just happened. You click send, you click buy, and you just trust it. But behind that ease of use, there's this really complex, elegant system that makes digital trust possible.
And today, in the deep dive, we're going, well, deep. We're diving into that world of cryptography. We really want to focus on demystifying these core ideas, public keys and private keys. Our mission here is to unpack how these digital guardians work, how they safeguard everything from emails to digital signatures, and hopefully do it without making your head spin with too much technical jargon.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe before we jump right into the keys themselves, it might be helpful to just briefly mention something called public key infrastructure, or PKI. Think of PKI less as just one thing and more like the whole system, the rules, the organizations, the architecture that lets us trust these digital keys in the first place.
Ah, okay. So it's like the framework around it all.
Exactly. Without PKI, having public and private keys would be like having, I don't know, the bad locks ever made, but no reliable way to know who has the right key or if the key is even real. PKI provides that trust layer.
That makes sense. A crucial distinction. And at the heart of PKI and, well, everything we're talking about today is cryptography itself, which at its core uses these really complex mathematical algorithms, right?
Right. These algorithms take readable data, what we call plain text, and just scramble it up into encrypted data, ciphertext. And that's vital for keeping things confidential and ensuring data isn't messed with when it's flying across the internet or just sitting on a server.
Like turning a clear message into a puzzle only the right person can solve.
Precisely. Okay, so let's tackle the first big concept, public key cryptography. This is also known as asymmetric cryptography.
Yeah.
So, what is a public key? Why is it public?
Well, the name is actually pretty descriptive, isn't it? A public key is genuinely public. It's meant to be shared widely. Anyone who wants to send you an encrypted message uses your public key to lock it up.
Okay.
But, and this is the really clever part, that message, once it's encrypted with your public key, can only be decrypted using the matching private key. And only you have that private key.
Ah, so it's a one-way street for encryption using the public key. Anyone can lock it. Only one person can unlock it.
Exactly. It solves that problem of how someone can send you a secret without already having a secret way to share the key.
Okay, so how does that work in practice? Let's walk through the steps.
Right. Step one is key generation. A unique pair of keys is created mathematically, one public, one private. They're linked, but you can't figure out the private key just by looking at the public key.
Okay, got the pair. What next?
Then comes public key distribution. You make your public key available. Put it in your email signature, on your website, in public key directories, anywhere people might need it to send you something securely.
Like posting your mailing address publicly so people can send you letters?
Good analogy.
Yeah.
Then step three is encryption. Let's say someone wants to send you a secret message. They take their message, the plain text, and they use your public key to scramble it.
All right.
This turns it into ciphertext, which just looks like a jumble of random characters, completely unreadable.
And then they just send that jumble.
Yep. Step four, transmission. That encrypted message travels across the network. If someone intercepts it, well, they just get the jumble. Useless to them without the private key.
Right, because it's locked.
Exactly. And finally, step five, decryption. When the message arrives in your inbox, you use your private key, the one that matches the public key the sender used, to unscramble the ciphertext. And poof, it turns back into the original readable plain text message. Only you could do that.
That is clever. So what are the big upsides here? Why is this asymmetric approach so important?
Well, the most obvious is secure communication. Like we said, messages stay safe even over dodgy networks. If someone grabs the data packet, they can't read the contents. Confidentiality is key.
Right, confidentiality. That makes sense.
And beyond just messages, think about digital signatures. This is huge.
Why do they work with public keys?
Well, it kind of works in reverse. You use your private key to create a unique digital signature for a document or message. Then, anyone can use your public key to verify that the signature is valid and that it really came from you, and importantly, that the message hasn't been tampered with since you signed it.
Ah, so it proves authenticity and integrity. Adds that layer of trust, knowing who sent it and that it's unchanged.
Exactly. Non-repudiation, they call it. You can't easily deny sending it. And another big plus is just convenience. in a way.
You don't need to secretly arrange to share a key beforehand with every single person you want to communicate securely with. Just publish your public key, and anyone can send you an encrypted message.
Okay, that definitely simplifies starting a secure conversation, but it can't be perfect, right? What are the downsides, the trade-offs?
Yeah, there are definitely trade-offs. A big one is speed, or rather, the lack of it.
Ah,
Asymmetric encryption and decryption involve some pretty heavy math. Compared to other methods, it's relatively slow.
so probably not great for encrypting, say, huge files or real-time video streams directly.
Exactly. It could really impact performance if you try to encrypt large volumes of data that way. Another challenge is key management complexity.
You mean keeping track of all these keys?
Well, yes, but more the infrastructure needed. You need a reliable way to distribute public keys, make sure they haven't been tampered with, revoke them if they get compromised. That whole PKI system we mentioned, it can be complex and resource intensive to run properly, especially for large organizations.
And the biggest risk, I suppose.
Is if your private key gets compromised. If someone steals your private key, they can decrypt any message that was ever encrypted with the corresponding public key. Game over for those secrets.
Ouch. Okay, so public key crypto is powerful for key exchange and signatures, but slow and has that critical private key vulnerability. Which kind of brings us to the other side of the coin. If this is slow, how do we encrypt large amounts of data quickly?
Right. That's where private key cryptography or symmetric cryptography comes in.
Symmetric, meaning the same.
Exactly. So when we talk about a private key in this context, symmetric crypto, we mean a single key, just one. And it's used for both encrypting and decrypting the message.
Okay, one key does both jobs. How does that work step by step, and what's the catch?
It's simpler in process. First, key generation.
Yeah.
Just one secret key is created.
One key.
Then, encryption. The sender uses that secret key to scramble the plain text into ciphertext. Pretty straightforward. But here's the big challenge. Key distribution. Before you can send the encrypted message, you have to somehow get that same secret key securely over to the recipient.
Ah, that sounds like the tricky part. How do you share a secret key without someone intercepting it?
Exactly. That's the fundamental problem with symmetric encryption. If someone intercepts the key while you're trying to share it, then they can read all the messages you encrypt with it. It's the crucial vulnerability.
Right. A very practical problem. Assuming you manage to share the key securely, what's the last step?
Decryption. The recipient gets the ciphertext, uses the exact same secret key they received earlier, and decrypts it back into the original plain text. Simple as that, provided they have the key.
Okay. So assuming you can solve that key sharing problem, what are the advantages? Why use this method?
Speed. Massive speed advantage.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Symmetric algorithms are way faster and require much less computational power than asymmetric ones. This makes them perfect for encrypting large amounts of data, like entire hard drives or streaming video or big database files quickly and efficiently, high security without bogging everything down.
So great for bulk encryption, but the limitations loom large, don't they?
They do. That key exchange problem is the big one. How do you securely distribute that single secret key to everyone who needs it without it getting compromised? It's a major logistical and security hurdle.
I can see that. If you have lots of people you need to communicate with securely.
You hit scalability issues. Imagine needing a separate, unique secret key for every pair of people communicating. Managing and securely distributing all those keys becomes a nightmare. It's resource-intensive, complex, and frankly, increases the risk of a key leaking somewhere along the line.
Right. So symmetric is fast, but has that key sharing headache, while asymmetric solves key sharing, but is slow. They almost sound like opposites.
In many ways, they are. Let's quickly recap the core differences. Public keys, part of an asymmetric pair, shared openly, used to encrypt messages for the owner of the private key. Private keys, kept secret. In asymmetric, they decrypt. In symmetric, a single private key encrypts and decrypts. Different keys, different jobs, different strengths and weaknesses.
But can they work together? It seems like they solve each other's problems.
They absolutely can, and in practice, they almost always do. This is often called a hybrid approach.
Okay, how does that work, combining the best of both?
Exactly. You leverage the strengths of each. Here's a super common example you use every single day, probably without thinking about it. Connecting to a secure website using HTTPS.
Ah, the little padlock icon in the browser.
Right. So when your browser connects to that secure server, they need to establish a secure channel. Doing all the back and forth communication using slow asymmetric encryption would be too inefficient for all the data. So what they do is this. Your browser and the server first use asymmetric cryptography
the public and private key stuff, just to securely agree on a temporary, symmetric secret key for this specific session.
Ah, so they use the slow, secure method just to share the fast key.
Precisely. The server sends its public key, your browser generates a random symmetric key, encrypts that symmetric key using the server's public key, and sends it back. Only the server, with its private key, can decrypt this symmetric key.
Clever.
Now, both your browser and the server have the same secret symmetric key. And for the rest of your browsing session on that site, all the actual data, the web pages, your inputs, everything is encrypted and decrypted super fast using that efficient symmetric key.
That's brilliant. So you get the secure key exchange from asymmetric and the speed from symmetric for the actual data transfer. Best of both worlds.
Exactly. It's a really elegant solution that underpins so much of modern secure communication online.
And this whole discussion, I think, really highlights just how critical effective key management is. It's not just about having the keys, it's about handling them properly.
Oh, absolutely. It's the unsung hero. Key management covers everything.
Yeah.
Securely generating keys, distributing them, storing them safely, knowing when and how to use them, and crucially, how to revoke or retire them if they're compromised or no longer needed.
Yeah, poor key management can completely undermine even the strongest cryptographic algorithms. It's where the theoretical security meets the practical, sometimes messy, real world.
Well, this has been a fascinating deep dive, hasn't it? Really peeling back the layers on how public and private keys work, their pros and cons, and how they team up to protect our digital lives. It's pretty amazing stuff when you think about it.
It truly is. The mathematics and the systems built around them are quite ingenious. And maybe that leaves us with a thought for you, our listener, to chew on. Given everything we've talked about, especially digital signatures, how does that ability fundamentally change how we think about trust online? Does it fully replace old ideas of trust, or does supplement them?
Yeah, and maybe think about this too. Beyond just signing things or secure websites, where else might these invisible public and private key pairs be working silently in your daily digital life, protecting you in ways you might not even realize right now? Something to ponder.